He's gotta say it.
Turn it on, let's go!
The real conservative Jude lives here. Music on your radio. America's little buzzball Christian conservative LH Music and the Time Factor crew. This is the LH Music Time Factor radio show.
We're just having a conversation here about the sheriff in Florida, in Palm Beach, Florida. His name is Rick Bradshaw.
And
He wants people to call him if, quote, the guy down the street hates the government, end quote.
Yeah, I don't know if that is the end quote.
Hang on. No, that's the media end quote. Call him if the guy down the street hates the government. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, I'm seeing the headline, I'm like, I don't think I agree with him. I'm pretty sure that I have a right to hate the government and not be turned in to the local sheriff. However, that's not the whole quote.
No, it goes a little bit further than that.
Well, like what?
Well, if we want people to call us if the guy down the street says he hates the government, comma.
Shall we? Oh boy. And I want to change something different. Come on.
Your show, and I'll tell you what, I just got a copy of your book. It's awesome because it goes into a lot of things, a lot of insight into your family, some background, things that you don't see on the.
Oh yeah, the TV show kind of picked it up from where we are now, but we wanted to tell the story about where we came from, because I think once you know that, it makes a lot more sense as far as where we are now and how proud we are of it, and just really how far we've come from all sorts of things, from my dad's waywardness and sinfulness and coming to the Lord, and then us really growing up together as a family from nothing and turning it into a very successful business. And it was successful before the show came out, and obviously since the show comes out, and with the ratings and the people and the fans now, it's just really growing by leaps and bounds. And we give the Lord credit. We didn't do everything right. We're certainly not. We're people too, but I think He's done pretty good with us and our family.
I think so too, and I think that's
I guess
important, and I would encourage anyone that watches the show, which is fabulous. I love the show. I would encourage them to get a copy of the book, and here's why. I think that people look at you and your family and they think, oh, you've always had it all together, you've always been a success, and that's really not the case, is it? As you just said, you've got a history, you've got your trials and errors and your wayward ways, but you came together, and it's a really beautiful story about how that happened.
Talk about got it together. My father was literally running from the law and
story about how that happened.
Wasted talent and had very educated, and he was a very smart guy, but just lost his way, like people do. And I think the show and the book and really what he's done through the company is just such an inspirational story to say, hey, you can come out of wherever you're at, and you never know, you'll end up having the #1 show on TV. And for us, that's real special. And really for all of us together, even just a few years ago, financially, we weren't where we need to get. I came in and had to put the business back together. And, the family business that was like most family businesses do. They sometimes are good, sometimes it's bad. And, after the economy hit, we had to pull it all together and just stuck with it. And I think there's lots to be said about being patient, too, and just not owning it too soon, putting your time in, and you look up, and we can enjoy the fruits of that. And what a platform it's given us to go all over the country and speak and really, about our faith and things that we believe in, and through that one show.
Well, you're talking about, a small business and how you've grown it and so forth. And I come from a family, my father owned his own businesses, and I know how that is.
They talk about, a small business, how it's grown and so forth, and I covered the
business owner. There's a lot of struggle. There's times where you need to meet the payroll, and hey, maybe you won't get paid yourself, when you're first starting out. But that's the sacrifice that you make when you start a small business. And so in your book, there's a lot of focus on work ethics and business tips. And what I would like to know from you, well, first of all, we all know that behind all successful men are very strong women, and I believe your wife You probably played an important part in the growth of that company, right?
First of all,
Am I right?
we own that behind all successful men. Very strong limits. I don't believe in your right for the in a great company, right? Am I right?
Just her being there, especially when you're down yourself,
No, boy.
what you can do, and you just can't see it, and just her pushing and saying, hey, we can do this, we can do this together. And she comes from a business family, so she was very instrumental, she and her family, about knowing business and knowing, we can overcome. And we didn't. We didn't come from that business. We just run our business, but she had come from retail, and so, she got a great head on her shoulders. She's way smarter than me, so she's a reader and all that. So that's why I married young. That's why we married young, because she and I went to college together. So without her, I probably could have made it through college. So she's been so instrumental. And then also just making sure that the family's taken care of. And, with our little ones when they were little, we used to have duck calls everywhere all over our house too, just like when we were kids, because we ran the internet business out of our living room, and so we would answer the phone at all hours of the night and take orders and send emails back, and in a lot of ways it was like I grew up, getting Dutch brand off the ground. We did that through the internet, through social media, and by the way, the reason we did that is my dad he was not a believer in computers.
Oh boy.
Nobody will ever order any products off the computer, and he still doesn't have one, so he stuck with it. But I said, Dad, I really think these computers and this internet's going to be a big deal one day.
Your mom and dad are such a joy and a blessing to watch.
My
And I got to tell you, first of all, you boys married some beautiful women. I mean, they are gorgeous. They really are. So smart and
Your
beautiful.
mom and
That's a
dad
great
is such a joy.
combination. But one of the things I have to tell you, as a Christian myself, a very conservative person,
They are gorgeous.
I appreciate your show so much. And I find it amazing, but I shouldn't, I guess, that you have the numbers of viewers that you do. And I think about how unashamedly you end each and every program with a prayer. You all gather around the table, you bow your heads, and you pray, and you thank God for all of your blessings. And that has not discouraged people from tuning in to watch your show. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You've got followers all over who may not even believe the same as you do. They may not even have a faith, but they love that show. And people still are drawn to the wholesomeness out there, the goodness. We want to be reminded that there are good people and that this world isn't as crazy as it appears to be sometimes. And I have to applaud you for your bravery and for doing that, being so vocal in your faith.
Reminded that there are
Thank you.
good
We've done
people.
that from the start of our company.
As well as as crazy as it appears to
back in
be sometimes.
1980,
I have to applaud you for your bravery for doing that because it's vocal in your faith.
I'm going to give you a little duck call, and I'm going to give you a little preaching too. And a lot of folks said, Bill, you can't mix the two. You're going to have to leave that stuff out if you're going to grow your business. And he didn't, and the Lord blessed us over and over and over with that. We've never really shied away or back down. And I think our show it's generally funny, and so you got an odd combination. It does have Christian themes about it, but it doesn't sacrifice the funniness of it. And sometimes things that are made from a Christian basis aren't quite as good as what comes out of Hollywood. And this sugar show, I think, can stand up against any show as far as its comedy and where it comes from. It also has a Christian faith about it. We pray at the end, and the relationship is good. You're not going to see cussing and fighting and all that, even though we disagree, just like every family does. But at the end of the day, we want to show you come back together, you set that table, and that's pretty much where you end it, and you let it go, and then the next day is a new day, and you get after it. And I think that's a great message for us as Americans and us as families, to learn how to get through problems and how do you get through that, because it hasn't always been easy for us, but we've stuck together and said, hey, we're gonna make it through.
And that's why the book is really, I find, quite interesting, and it really is good to read once you've come to know your family, Duck Commander family. I got to tell you, talk about comedy. Where would you be, comedy-wise, without Uncle Si?
That's why the book is really
I just love that guy.
Really is good to read what you know your family.
We've always known him as the crazy
talk about
uncle,
comedy.
and
Where would you be,
really
comedy-wise, without
how that
Uncle
was
Si?
gonna translate. And honestly, when we started the
boy,
show,
I just
he
love that
wasn't
guy.
even on the list of people. And I told the production company, I said, you really need to look at my uncle, because he's quite the character. First, when they saw him and saw him on the screen, they were like, holy cow, Willie, where did you get this guy? I told you he was funny.
My goodness.
And watching him grow and how he does it, and and everybody asked me, is he really like that? I'm like, could you fake that for that long? The guy's so
Oh my
funny,
God.
and really a good guy too. And watching him with all the fame now and success, it's extraordinary because he still, I mean, every time he gets a check from this, he just laughs and says, "I cannot believe that these people have lost their minds to pay me to do what I do," and which is cool. I mean, watching him be so humble, you know, even though he's probably one of the most talked about people in America.
I love it. My favorite episode was when your brother lost his wedding ring and Cy said, "Oh, I have a metal detector."
My
He said,
goodness.
"I'll be right back." And then, of course, he never came back. He decided to look for metal in his own yard. And just a crazy character. I love
I
him.
just love it.
But
My
could you
favorite
tell us
episode
all
when your brother
about the
lost
history
his
of how the
wedding and
show
decided to
began
a
and
metal detector.
how in the world did
I
this
was right back.
happen?
Of course, he never came back.
Yeah,
He
I'll be
decided to look
honest.
for metal.
We had a show. We were doing
He's a
outdoor
crazy
TV. We've
character.
been
I
doing
love
outdoor
him.
stuff for years. We
He
made
could tell us all
VHS tapes
about
back
the
in the
history of
80s
how
of
this
our
show
hunts,
began.
and just
How in
kind
the
of a
world
raw,
does this
real
happen?
show about hunting, and had a lot of tips and techniques, but also kind of in your face. And we had the beards, and everybody was kind of gnarly, and then that eventually moved into TV when we had a show on the Outdoor Channel, and it was kind of reality, kind of hunting, and kind of a new show of its time a few years ago, and it was very successful. People loved it. It was just a network, and there was a guy that's a producer. He had been from Louisiana. He owned a production company out in L.A., and he sent me just an email to the general inbox, just the duck commander, and said, "I think you guys got a big show. You know, give me a call." And called him up, made a couple of pilots, and showed them around. A lot of people wanted the show when they saw the pilots, and A&E kind of came out of nowhere and said, "We'll take a chance on it," and made a couple of pilots. They liked it, and we shifted it into the show it is. Trying to find that perspective to find, who, how are you going to make this show? And it ended up being out of my perspective because I was like, I guess the normal guy on the group trying to run a business and trying to get my family to do these things. So it kind of came from my eyes, and then certainly they saw the comedy because we didn't know. I mean, I don't think they realized that it was going to be that funny, and I think it kind of
Oh
grew
my
to get
goodness.
like a normal people. That was kind of what was in vogue at the time, and then it morphed into this real pro-family, positive comedy of how we run our business, and there you go. As the numbers turned out, it was some huge ratings, and it grew and grew every week. It was growing, and you knew people were calling and telling people, "Hey, you got to check this show out." And it was fun watching it during that time.
You know what? And I have to say too that it's just been so much fun to watch. And as a parent who is trying to instill those same values in her child, to see someone out there enforcing that.
You know
On a
what?
show
I
that's
just say
become as
this too.
popular as yours has.
This
I mean,
is
it's
so much
just
fun
it's a blessing for
watching
many of
as
us.
a
One more
parent,
story, if you don't
as a
mind,
kid, as a
and
to
that is
seeing
about your dad,
values
because
for
Phil
child,
has a
and to see
background
someone
in
enforcing
football
that
that many people may
on a
not
show
know
that's
about,
become as
and I
popular as
only
yours
learned
has.
about all
And
of
it's
the
just
details
it's
after
blessing for
reading
many of us.
the book
One more
Duck
story if
Commander
you don't
Family.
mind.
If you could just
That
quickly
is
give us a little
about your
background
dad.
on your father and what he
Phil has a
it
background
always cracks me
in
up on what
football.
how he
Many
finally
people
decided he
know
didn't want
about it.
football, but he'd
Only
rather
learn about
be
all the
where he
details
is right
after
now.
reading
Well, yeah, he was
about the
a big
Commander
football
family.
star
Does
out
you
of
quickly
North
give us a background of your
Louisiana,
father?
the Shreveport
Would you
area.
decide, just
Came
crack
out
me up on what
to
you,
Louisiana
how did you
Tech. He
finally
was a
decide to get into
starter
football?
quarterback,
You'd rather be
bright future.
where he is right
And
now.
another guy
Okay,
came along
very
right
quickly.
behind him named Terry Bradshaw, of course, who we all know who he is. And that was the starter. He was a backup, and that's probably the way it was going to be. But the problem with Phil was there was a big problem with football. It happened at the same time as duck season, so he never could quite get over that. So his senior year, he literally just walked away and said, "I'm going to get my degree, and I'm going to leave football behind." And, he never looked back. And he could have went and played pro, obviously, but he didn't. And he said, "I'm going to chase the ducks," and he always says, "Bradshaw went after the bucks, and I went after the ducks." And both of them ended up okay, and we worked it all the way around to where we ended up making a few bucks off those duck calls anyway.
Well, listen, I'm from Pittsburgh. I still live there, and Terry Bradshaw was one of my favorites, all-time
Oh
favorites. In
my
fact,
goodness.
having been in Pittsburgh and a huge Steeler fan, of course. It's funny because your dad also said that dating interfered with duck season. So
Well, listen,
he initially broke up with your mom right
everybody's a
before
Pittsburgh. Terry
duck
Bradshaw is my
season, so he
favorite.
didn't have to be
All-time
bothered with
favorites, in
anything
fact.
else.
Oh,
And he's been in Pittsburgh to sing friends, of course.
Mom learned at a
But
young
because your
age,
dad also said that
he was
dating
going to be, so
your duck
they've
season.
been together ever
You
since,
seem to
and
break
we're
up
all
your mom,
thankful for that. And he's
duck
in the book, too.
season.
It'll be out
Could it be
the
bothered with
pre-sale now,
anything
but
else?
it's doing really well. But it should be out, I think, Father's Day, and it's called Happy, Happy, Happy. So it tells his story.
Oh,
and
wow.
where he came from. So it's real neat to see
Yes.
that. And my wife actually just read it on the plane the other day, and she said it's awesome. So I look forward to reading it. I hadn't read it